Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through what you as a beginner investor with no background in accounting or finance can do in order to decide which shares to invest in. So let's get started. You'll notice at the start that I was very specific with my wording. I specifically used the word investor, and for those of you who don't know, an investor is someone who invests in a company based on a sound analysis of the fundamentals of the business. A speculator, on the other hand, which many beginners are people who buy certain stocks in the hope that the share price will go up. So, an investor is someone who invests based upon a sound analysis of the company, whereas a speculator is someone who invests based upon some spine-tingling feeling that the share price will go up. Now, when you go to your EasyEquities Invest Now section, you will notice that there are multiple companies to invest in. Being a beginner, it would probably be best to invest your money into a diversified ETF. However, for those enterprising investors who are willing to put in the effort, stock picking can be rewarding. Now, realistically, it would take a significant amount of time to go through all these shares in order to get an idea of what business you would potentially be interested in investing in. Fortunately for you, there's a better way, and that would be to scan through the list and write down on a piece of paper all the companies that you know, and I don't mean those companies where you recognize the name from somewhere, but those where you know the products and services they provide. It would be even better if you have had an experience with the company before. So, you may ask, why is this important? Well, one, it makes your life much easier, and two, more importantly, it is one of the sound principles advised by some of the greatest investors in the world, such as Warren Buffett and Peter Lynch. As a matter of fact, this in itself is the most important key anyone can give you when it comes to investing, in my opinion. If there's anything you take from this, invest in what you know. So, let's dive deeper. Why do we say this? If you invest in a company and an area you know well, that provides you with an incredible amount of foresight. A personal example, around the time the iPhone 3 was first released, 2008-2009, I went with my dad to Sandton City, and we went to have a look at the phone. Now, by then, I, like most people, had a good idea of what phones were like. They were slow, a challenge to navigate, and not easy on the eye. But when I first held the iPhone in my hand, it was amazing. It was well built, it operated smoothly, typing was intuitive, and the experience you got with the touch interface made using apps so much easier. And I still keep the phone today as a reminder of this experience. It was quite simply then and there a superior product to anything else on the market. Now, by today's standards, the cheapest touchscreen phones are more powerful than the iPhone 3 ever was. But back then, that product was clearly head and shoulders above the competition. Experiences like this are invaluable. The key here is that you need to be able to identify if the company produces a product that is better than what else is out there. If you had invested $1,000 in Apple back then, purely based on this experience and without any idea of financials or accounting, that initial investment would have turned into over $20,000 today. Remember, an investor is someone who invests in a company based on a sound analysis of the company. This type of experience I had is a perfect example of a sound analysis. Now, I do recommend that you don't just use one experience as the only form of analysis in order to make your decision to invest in a company. However, this is 50% of the problem solved. The other 50% does involve an analysis of the financials. I know that example makes investing sound relatively easy, which it can be, but you also need to realize that it takes time. To generate that type of return, you would have had to wait over 11 years, and during that time, the share price was very volatile. During that period, there were 5 times when the share price decreased by more than 33%. That is a third of your wealth just vanish. You may ask yourself, well, I don't know if I'll be able to stomach those movements. And it's a fair observation. I mean, it's incredibly hard to earn money, and to lose it, well, I don't need to answer that. We all know how that feels. So, in order to make sure that you are able to stomach those movements, and so that you don't sell your shares in fear they will go lower, it is important to remember the reason why you invested in the company. And that brings us back to our core principle. You need to invest in what you know. Let's go back to my experience. And let's say I had invested in Apple back in 2008, right after I had had that experience with the phone at Santam. I would have had to stomach a 30% decrease in their share price on 5 different occasions. Now, it may be easy in hindsight, but during the 2008-2009 financial market crash, the share lost 50% of its value. So, what is there to say that the beginner would have held onto those shares? It would have come down to your belief and understanding that after the financial crash subsides, Apple will still have the best product in the fast-growing smartphone market, and as a consequence will continue to grow its business. And that is exactly what happened. But I could only make that judgment because I knew the company well. If I had invested in a company purely because I thought the share price was going to go up, and instead it went down 50%, what reason do I have to hold onto it in the hope that it will still go up? I don't have a reason. That is why you never put your money into a stock because you think it is going to go up. You put your money into a stock because you understand the business and the products and services they provide. It is as simple as that. Lastly, and in closing, please note that I do not advise investing in companies unless you have also done a quantitative analysis of the company and its financials. A quantitative analysis is necessary because the share price of a company is inextricably linked to the financials of the company. There are multiple materials on this topic. However, as a beginner and to keep things simple, start off with some YouTube videos. Search for topics surrounding accounting and the basics of accounting. Then move on to finance and company valuation videos. Once you have done this, I would recommend you read The Little Book of Valuation by a guy named Aswath Damodaran. I've read many of Aswath Damodaran's pieces of literature and watched countless hours of his videos on YouTube. He is a highly respected professor, and this, I believe, is an apt book for the beginner after you have grasped the concept of accounting and finance through some YouTube videos. You do need to recognize that, like anything in life, in order to reap the reward, you need to invest the time, and as Benjamin Franklin once said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time.